If you are comfortable, coach.
Mamelodi Sundowns have their work cut out if they are to be crowned inaugural African Football League champions. 2-1 down on aggregate, head coach Rulani Mokwena knows they will need to take positives from the first leg if his charges are to prevail at Loftus Versfeld.
We had more ball possession than them. We had more passes than them. And so that gives us confidence in our performance that we know we can play better, and we can play better in front of our crowd, and we will play better in front of our people. But we know how difficult the assignment is, and we're looking forward to it.
Sundowns have had to contend with a jam-packed fixture list, but it's not an excuse ahead of the second leg of the final on Sunday in the South African capital.
It's football. Now we have to take the 2-1 and try to find the possibilities of dealing with the game. How do I think the game is going to go? The players know. I've told them how I think the game is going to go. 9 times out of 10, when I tell them how the game is going to go, 9 times out of 10, I'm right. So I'm hoping that this is one of the times that I'm right. I'm not always right. I do get them wrong sometimes.
Motivation isn't lacking for the team known as the Brazilians, who know that they will need to be at their best to overcome the narrow deficit and will certainly be buoyed by their supporters.
This competition, the AFL has shown us how many times against Petro we had at halftime we had to switch and change and find solutions. Against Al Ahly we had to switch and find solutions. So I expect the same even for tomorrow's match for sure.
The odds are stacked against Sundowns, who do not have a great record against Wydad, having won just 1 of their last 6 encounters. The Moroccans are targeting their first back-to-back victories over Sundowns since 2019. So a lot is riding on the 90 minutes this weekend. One thing that does bode well for Sundowns is that they have never lost on home soil to their opponents. It's all to play for, not just the bragging rights of being the inaugural winners, but also to claim the mouth-watering $4 million first prize. CS du Plessis, CGTN, Pretoria.
Well, the visitors, on the other hand, will be hoping to finish the job they started in Casablanca. However, they know the away goal that Sundowns scored in Morocco could prove crucial. CGTN's Adnan Shawashi has more on Wydad's preparations.
Moroccan champion Wydad Casablanca are on the brink of history on Sunday in South Africa. The 3-time CAF Champions League winners are aiming to become the first side to win the African Football League, the newest continental interclub competition. Holding a 2-1 win from the first leg over Mamelodi Sundowns, Wydad's task will not be easy, having conceded a crucial away goal.
The clash in Morocco was very difficult for Wydad, but the team played to isolate the opponent. Sundowns seized their only chance in the match to score a goal. Wydad's mission in South Africa will not be easy. It's challenging at all levels, but it's possible to win if we score fast and defend well.
Wydad are out to defend or extend their slim lead in front of over 40,000 fans at Sundowns Loftus Versfeld Stadium. Home advantage could be an important factor in determining the result of a game, but the Moroccans are determined to win the first AFL title.
Wydad is well known for good performances abroad. The huge number of South African fans is not a disadvantage for the Moroccan side. Realizing the dream to be crowned the first ever AFL champions is more powerful than any challenge at an away stadium. Wydad should not miss this opportunity.
Only a few hundred Wydad fans have travelled to South Africa due to the cost of the long flight, but millions of Moroccans will watch the game on television. Local supporters are, however, willing their side to victory and history.
We will support the team until the last minute. Yes, it will be hard, but it's not impossible. Moroccan football will continue to top African football with Wydad's much-awaited victory over Mamelodi Sundowns. We won at home and will win in South Africa.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino has praised the inaugural AFL first leg final. Wydad's head coach, Adel Ramzi, declared that his team's mission is to leave South Africa with a trophy and the $4 million winner's check. Adnan Shawashi, CGTN.
Right, well, for more analysis on what we can expect in Pretoria on Sunday night, I spoke earlier on to award-winning sports journalist and African football expert Lawrence Kohler. I began with a general question on the tournament itself and whether it's good or bad for African club football.
African football needed something new. It's obviously a new competition that's refreshing, new excitement, and to bring in new investment and new sponsors, you need something different. I mean, if we continue doing the same things all the time, and trying to get the different results in terms of the Champions League, I think it's the definition of insanity. So yeah, a new competition is obviously welcomed in terms of sponsorship, generating new revenues for African football. And obviously, if it fails, it fails. If it succeeds, then it's great for continental football. And obviously, the money that has been projected to be obviously earned in this tournament will obviously improve African football, especially viewership as well as broadcast rights.
Right, and looking at the wider picture here, the FIFA president Gianni Infantino did personally praise the first leg, which was won by Wydad last weekend. Why do you think there's so much interest in this competition from the world governing body?
I think it was called the FIFA African Football League. And if you can see that it's broadcasted on FIFA and on their social media channels, they're also, how can I say, they're presenting it, they're pushing it. And obviously it was the European Super League that was driven initially. It was the brainchild of Infantino. So this obviously was driven by them towards CAF. And CAF didn't really have much of an option. They needed something new to drive new revenues into the federation, because we all know that the financial turmoil that the previous administration left it in with Ahmed after cancelling the Lagardère TV rights deal. So obviously it was a welcome boost to the revenues and to the coffers for CAF. And I think the success of the AFL obviously depends on whether it will be transitioning into other continents and maybe revisiting the European Super League.
Right, and looking at this from Sundowns' point of view, Lawrence, are we likely to see the dependable duo of Peter Shalulile and Lucas Ribeiro Costa return from injury just in time for the big match?
After the press conference now, the coach was quite tight-lipped about that. He just mentioned that they are in training and they're looking good. He didn't go as far to say if they will feature, but I think if there's a 50% chance of them featuring, then they'll most likely be on the bench. But yeah, it would obviously be a welcome boost, but he wasn't able to commit to a definitive answer.
Right, and looking at it from Wydad's point of view, they have, of course, proven to be good travelers in the recent past. Do they have what it takes to deny Sundowns' history here?
Look, they've never won in South Africa before, but we know what happened in the semi-final, the Champions League, just last season. They came here, they drew 2-2 with a last-minute own goal, I think. And obviously it ended Sundowns' Champions League dream. And it was a bit of a heartbreaking situation for the coach and for the team, because they went through the entire Champions League campaign unbeaten. So if there's any team that could pull off an upset here, it would be Wydad, because they've proven it that they can do it before. But I think without their captain, it might be one step too far for them to come here and get a win. So I think we'll probably see them trying to settle for a draw. So it's going to be a very interesting game, and I'm sure the whole continent will be watching in high anticipation for it.
Indeed, the continent will be watching. Quickly, before we let you go, Lawrence, with $4 million at stake, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who do you think is going to take it?
Before the first leg, I said I'd have no chance. I think Sundowns will take this, but after the first leg, I was on the fence a little bit. But yeah, home ground advantage in the second leg is always a big thing in continental finals with 2 legs. So if I put my head on the block, I'll say Sundowns will win the inaugural competition.
Right, well, before we take a quick break, let's quickly look back at how Mamelodi Sundowns and Wydad Casablanca made it to the inaugural African Football League final. The South African champions Sundowns opened their campaign by beating Petro de Luanda 2-0 in the first leg of their quarterfinal in Angola. An uneventful 0-0 result in the return leg in Pretoria suited the home team, who progressed to the semi-finals. Sandawana beat the Egyptian giants Al Ahly 1-0 at home in the first leg of the semi-final, and once again they happily took a scoreless draw in the return leg, which brought passage to the final on a 1-0 aggregate scoreline. For their part, Wydad Casablanca opened their campaign with a 1-0 win against Enyimba in Nigeria. They cruised to the semi-finals with a 3-0 victory in the return leg for a crushing 4-0 win on aggregate. In the last four, Wydad faced Esperance of Tunisia in a North African derby. Both legs finished with a 1-0 victory to the home side, which meant the tie went to penalties in Tunis. The Moroccan champions edged it 5-4, and with it, their place in the final.